Alright, here we go, round 3 against Bearland, who is mulliganing down to 6 cards. This hand looks pretty good. Got Naga here, we can turn 3 an Oracle. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and keep that. Bearland's going to keep his 6 and start off with a full art mountain. So he is playing red-black, so that's a little scary. We don't want a deck that's going to go too fast against us. So we've got an option here to play either of these, but I think that going with the Vitalist and getting some extra mana down quickly is a good idea. Ideally, he wouldn't be able to remove the Naga. Okay, so we got a Lizard we're going to be up against. But our Vitalist, our Vitalist is going to help us cast this Naga, which should put us in a reasonable spot against the Lizard. Okay, so what do we want and what do we not want here? We don't need the Stinging Shot, that's for sure. Let's put that in the graveyard. I don't think we need the Forest either. We might want one eventually, but I don't think we should just take more lands for right now. We're going to keep the Initiate on top. Alright, so... okay, another Lizard. Wow, didn't even threaten the attack there. Awesome. Like to see that. Okay. Alrighty, so we could play the Initiate, but that's the much more aggressive play. I think I actually like going ahead and casting the Skirmisher here, and then just passing over to him. If he's got something good he can play for 4, we can censor it. And then once we have the Skirmisher in play, then we can kind of block both, and we'll force him to have 2 tricks to be able to take our guys down. Doom to Center. Alright, well that's a card that we probably wouldn't want to counter anyways. And I think we're going to keep the Censor and not cycle it here. We could cycle it if we wanted. I'd be more likely to cycle the Greater Sandworm, but I think we're going to keep that as well. Alright, there's a Colossipede. The Colossopede's fine, but if we play our Aven Initiate, we'll be able to keep mana up for the Censor. And I think that's what we're going to do. Seems like he's stuck on land pretty obviously, and he's almost certainly got a 4-drop he's going to be aching to play by the time he hits that land. And I think here it will come. Just a moment here. Could be an Electrify for after blocks. Nope, nothing. Alright, we've got another Tog Crop Skirmisher here. Now this time, I think we only want to play the Colossipede. First we're going to attack with Aven Initiate, that's for sure, in the air. Now we have a more aggressive line available to us. We could have attacked with the Tog Crop Skirmisher as well, but he's very likely to just trade the Doom to Center and get some value that way. So he did have the Threaten in his deck, and he cycled that. I think we're going to go ahead and cast a Tog Crop Skirmisher, and we're going to leave that Censor up still. Again, we could have played Colossipede here, but right now we're threatening him in the air, and just having control of the board should be enough to beat this deck, it appears. There is a Hyena pack for us. That's fine, that card's not really going to change the complexion of what's going on the ground very much. And again, we're going to retain our cards and not cycle. Here's Glyph Keeper. This guy's going to be worth going ahead and casting. We're going to swing in with the Aven. We will cast the Glyph Keeper, leaving up just a blue. Well, we'll leave up the Vitalist instead. And if we decide we want to cycle the Censor, then we can. Bearland. It's a great name. He's got the Black Lotus avatar. Not sure how much sense that really makes, having being your avatar. Alright, so we've got a final reward coming in on our Naga. That's pretty awesome that he was forced to use that on the Naga, even though it's going to put him in a spot where he can swing a little bit here. If he gets to play one more card, that's a problem. Because now he's going to kill some guys and be able to swing with these 4/4s. This is the turn we really could have used Censor, and we don't have it up. So, Alright, we're going to have to let him do that, and the question is if we're going to make some blocks here. He's going to swing with definitely all those 4-tail guys. I think we're going to let all that through, and we're just going to play a Colosipede next turn and shut him down. Alright, so we've got our 2 skirmishers we can embalm later on. They cost 4 mana to embalm, though. We've got some more expensive creatures in our hand that are a little bit stronger against what he's got in play there. I think we are going to swing with both our flyers. They deal 8 damage, and they'll put us in a situation where he'll have to kill us next turn. Let's see, can we play 2 cards anyway? Doesn't look like it, so we're going to just cast that Colosipede. If we cycle something first, I guess we could cycle the Censor here. If we cycle the Censor, if we hit something, we might be able to play 2 cards. Okay, that's fine. That's going to give us a Sandworm for next turn, and we can cast Colosipede this turn. Next turn's probably not going to really exist, though, because we're going to just block as much as we can this turn. Let's see, 1, 2... This is kind of interesting. We could make it a 3-turn clock instead. If he has a threaten effect, then we will lose if we swing with both these guys. But I think we're going to go ahead and just swing with both here. He cycled the threaten effect a moment ago. He may have another one, but I think the way to win most games is to swing right here. Having to deal 9 means he'd need to hit us with both Thresher Lizards. If we get to block something, it's going to mess him up pretty badly. He may have removal for flyers. Interesting that he played this first. I'm not sure why he did that. Alright, we're definitely going to block. I guess we're going to block a Thresher Lizard and... well, I guess we'll block both Thresher Lizards. And we'll see what he's got here. Alright, there's a concession. We'll be heading into game 2. We're gonna pull out our Stinging Shot here, as it's gonna be no good against that Totally Not Flyers deck. And we'll see what we want to bring in. Against a quick deck like this, I think maybe the Decision Paralysis might be nice for whenever he goes in for that swing. We can go ahead and tap down 2 of his guys. Was very good, brought out of the board in our other matchup previously. And I think that's really the only card we want for him. Winds is okay against him, and so is Floodwaters, but they're both a little bit slower than Decision Paralysis. This card actually does a little bit of work in this format. I'm kind of surprised how much better it is in this format than it's been recently. I think it's because of Exert, but also because creatures have really varying power in this format. Not just because of Exert, but also because of things like the Lizard that he's playing. That Thresher Lizard sometimes is a 4/4, and so if you can tap it down 2 turns where it's a 4/4, that's a huge difference. It's a bunch of extra damage that you can prevent. He was playing a Blazing Volley in his main, so that makes me wonder if he has the 1/2 rare. Alright, Bearland. Alright, we've got 3 mana here. That looks pretty good. We've got Secret of Insight. We've got some good plays here. I think we're going to keep this. Bearland did not mulligan this time, so we may be looking at a much faster start, and we are. There's a Dread Wanderer to start him off. There is our money card, the Sandworm Convergence. We are going to need to draw some land to make that happen. And he is going fast. So here comes the Dread Wanderer. Next turn we'll play Seeker of Insight, and we'll be able to at least stop the Dread Wanderer from hitting us every turn. But he's still going to be able to swing at us with the Battlefield Scrounger. if he decides to swing with both. So he may swing with the scavenger here because it's kind of a free roll attack, and we are going to block if he does. Interesting, he did not. I think here we're going to cast a cartouche onto the Seeker. We could loot at this point, which is something we might kind of need to do, but we're gonna have to take some damage if we do that. So let's see what we draw first to see if we need to loot. I hope we draw a land here. Not a land. Okay. That being the case, we're gonna go ahead and loot while we can. This guy's kind of weird because he makes you loot during your own turn sometimes when you otherwise would not. Alright, so we're not going to discard the Convergence. I think we're going to discard one of the Initiates. Although I guess we could just discard Wrappings. That might be a better plan. Yeah, let's just discard Wrappings. Okay, hopefully we will get a land off the top next turn. We're probably going to end up cycling at least one of these Drakes. We might should have kept the Wrappings and pitched a Drake, but I don't like to pitch the cards with cycling to the looting, just because they have a way to loot for themselves already. By just paying 2 mana, you can loot them. Alright, so he's killing our Seeker, so I'm glad we went ahead and looted with it at least. We're going to be taking 4 here, and we'll see if he rummages. He's not going to rummage, so he's got some cards that he likes in his hand. So we do have 4 mana, so I think we actually have to go ahead and cast the Initiate here because of how far behind we're going to be if we just cast the Vitalist. Okay, swung with both. So we are going to trade for that Scavenger. We played the Avid Initiate basically to trade. And hopefully we'll get to the point in the game later on where we can recast it and kind of get some value from it. Here, I think we're going to go ahead and play the Crab. This is going to kind of make it so we can't get through as easily. And we should be able to start maybe getting back in this game by getting some mana. Another option here would have been to cycle one of the Shimmer Scale Drakes and then play the Vitalist or the Crab. Alright, so he's swinging with both. We're going to block the Dread Wanderer here. He is getting down to where he doesn't have too many cards in hand, and that is where that deck wants to be, with just a few cards in their hand. We are going to play the Shimmer Scale Drake. Bearland did not show us too much stuff last game that made us feel like he can just reach and get us, except he did have the threaten effect where he can steal one of our creatures. Alright, so he's got a Soul Stinger. That is pretty good here. Okay, so swinging like this, we are going to kill the Hyena pack here. It can't kill either of our creatures if he doesn't have a trick to go with it. We'll leave him the Thresher Lizard. We could block the Thresher Lizard this way and still kill it, but if we do that, he'll be able to kill our Drake, and then we'd just be killing a creature with 1 more power, and we lose the Drake for that. So I like this play better. We're going to take 1 extra damage, and we're going to leave him with a slightly better creature in play. But I like killing the Hyena pack and forcing him to use something if he's got it. Brute Strength. Full fling. Flinging the Soul Stinger at the other guy there to keep the pack. Interesting. That was an interesting play. That was a kind of a cool use of those cards. So we can play 2 cards if we play the Vitalist and the Initiate. But then we're going to be in a weird situation blocking wise. But if we do it that way and we're able to survive, we'll be able to cast Sandworm Convergence if we draw a card. If we draw a land, I'm sorry. So that might be the play. We're kind of way behind here and we're kind of on our toes. We could play another Shimmer Scale Drake. It makes attacking for him kind of rough. I think I like playing the 2 creatures out. Even if we don't draw a land next turn, we'll be able to flashback or embalm our other Haven Initiate. And again, if we can just survive to where we can cast this Convergence, we'll probably be able to lock him out of this one. There is a bat. Alright, so now we're going to be forced to trade the Initiate with the bat. Well, not exactly forced. But we can't ignore the bat actually, so well, yeah, we can't ignore it. So we're going to have to make some blocks here. So I think what we're going to do, since this is what happened, is we're going to block the Thresher Lizard and we're going to block the bat. We're going to take 3 there. Hopefully we'll draw a land and be able to play our Sandworm Convergence. Okay, here we go. We're going to go ahead and cast this. Let's see how readily this guy can come back. Okay, he can come back basically any time now. Here comes the Sandworm Convergence, and hopefully this will shut him down. We are only at 2 life, so it's very possible that he could get back in this game and get us now. He final rewards that guy, and that's going to get us actually. That's for the victory for Bearland. So we weren't able to survive that first turn after we cast the Sandworm Convergence. Sometimes they can get you right when you cast it. If we had survived that turn, I think we pretty much are a lock at that stage, barring direct damage. Alright, so that was a pretty close game. Alright, so let's see if we want to make any changes here. He does have a bat. Makes me think we could consider the Stinging Shot, but I think the Paralysis is still probably better against his deck. This game we may have done better if we would have cycled that Censor a little bit earlier. We might have been a little bit greedy with the Censor holding on to it a little long. Giant Spider's not very good against those 4/4s that he has. But Giant Spider can block the bat. That's kind of nice. Alright, so that's the first time I've cast the Sandworm Convergence and actually lost a game. But to be fair, that's a small window that exists right there. Is right when you cast it and you've just got the 1/5/5, it's kind of like in a lot of matchups you spent 8 mana and made a 5/5. If that's what you did and you're already kind of on your back heel, there's a reasonable chance they can kill you that turn. But once you make a second 5/5 and a third 5/5 and they're not allowed to hit you in the air, it starts to get kind of out of control. Alright, so we said we'd be on the play here. This is not a great hand. I really wish we could keep it because, I mean, having the Weaver of Currents is just awesome. But we're going to mulligan here. It's a little too greedy to keep this one. Wow, this one's worse. Well, maybe it's not worse. We got a lot of mana and we do want a lot. We do want a good chunk of mana in the deck. We've got the Skirmisher that can help us in the early game. I really don't want to go down to 5. I think we're going to keep this even though it's not very good. Alright, we're going to put this on the top. We do have more islands in the deck than forests. Now here's an interesting situation. If we wanted, we could leave that up. But he did mull, so maybe he'll start off slow like he did in the other game. Sweet. Now we've got a sensor up for him. Oh, well, we've got this instead. We're going to probably go ahead and play that Weaver instead of playing the sensor. And we can always play the sensor later, or we can just cycle the sensor. With the Weaver in play, if we draw into one of our nice, powerful cards, we could win the game kind of quickly. Two black. Cycling Pursue Glory. Okay. A lot of times in this format, people will tap mana that's weird, and you'll be like, what are they doing? And then they'll just be cycling. You'll think, oh man, what is this card? I don't know the card that they're casting. And they're casting nothing. That's why. Okay, so I like this. We are going to... First we're going to attack, I think. We're going to attack with just the Top-Crop Skirmisher. And then we'll cast Edifice of Authority. We're going to make it so that guy can't attack, and then we will also censor anything they play. And we'll basically censor anything here if they give us a target. Yeah, we'll censor the Hyena Pack. Alright. Wrappings is something we're going to save for a better creature than the Battlefield Scavenger. We'll attack with the Top-Crop. Alright, that's a great trade. Oh man. It's like he can hear us. We would love if he would make that trade with us. We would be able to then just recast the Top-Crop and then immediately just continue what we've been doing. All right, we've got a ton of mana. Hopefully we can draw one of our payoff cards here, one of our more expensive cards. Here comes a Thresher Lizard. And something. And we're going to fling the Battlefield Scavenger. Well, that's kind of mean. Still got a lot of mana, so we're going to be fine if we draw one of our expensive cards. Alright, so he's probably going to be able to go down to a few enough cards in a moment, but we're just going to go ahead and swing anyways. We've got him down to 14. We'll have him down to 12 in a second because he's going to take this. No way he's going to trade his Lizard there. We're just going to continue to stop the Lizard from attacking with the Edifice. The Lizard heavily gets around the Illusory Wrappings because he still gets his +1/+2, so he becomes a 1/3, which, you know, isn't great, but it's still something that can keep hitting you. We may end up having to cast one on one of those guys, though, because we don't want them both to be hitting us all the time. So he can't attack or block. Sorry, so he can't attack, and then we'll make the other one not be able to attack or block, ideally. So I think we're actually going to go ahead and cast one on one of the Lizards at this stage. Even though it'll still be able to kill us, So that's not a great effect then. Let's say that this one cannot attack or block. And then we're going to go ahead and swing in with the skirmisher. So there's a block, which means they're going to be playing something, almost certainly, to make it bigger. Oh, they did not. That is downright exciting for us. We are going to recast that top crop from the graveyard and pass it over to them. Bearland may have something especially good coming down here shortly that he's trying to protect. Blazing Volley for 1 damage to our guy. Sure, that's reasonable. Alright, so we've got enough mana to cast our Convergence already now. I think we're going to have to go ahead and... Well, I guess we can just still prevent it from attacking, and we'll just keep doing that for a little bit. Alright, that's fine. I think we're actually going to continue just preventing it actually from attacking instead of doing everything. Just because that's going to continue putting counters on the edifice. There are a couple cards in the format that can move counters or take counters off of things. I think most of them, I think actually there might only be one. There's a green one that I'm aware of. Alright, so he's going to kill the Doom Dissenter and deal us some damage here almost certainly. And then we're going to Illusory Wrappings that mana core. He's going to get a 2/2 back on that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw down our Seeker of Insight. We're also going to go ahead and throw down the Illusory Wrappings on the Manticore. And our Edifice is online. We need to draw a payoff card here though, or he will eventually kill us with just having all these solid creatures that he's got. Vitalist is definitely not what we wanted here. Alright, so we don't have great options here. I think we're going to have to... That could deal us 5, potentially. Now just 4, and it costs him a ton of mana, so I guess the Thresher Lizard is still going to be the card we're going to prevent from attacking. So we're going to have to take 4 still from the Minotaur. Okay, there's a Colossopede, that'll help. Reason we've been holding this forest back is we do have a looter here, and we may decide we want to loot away the forest. We've got the Naga Vitalist as well now, so we may also decide that we're going to that we may actually just not need the forest, is what I mean to say, since 8 is enough to cast all our cards. I think we're going to actually turn off the Sure Shot now, since the Thresher Lizard cannot swing through the Colossopede. Alright, let's see what he's bringing down here. Soul Stinger. Probably killing the Manticore, I'm gonna guess. No, he wants it on his own guy there. Not sure if I agree with that play there. Could have kept both forests up if we had wanted to. Our hope here is just really that we're able to eventually draw something before he draws something. Something to really change the state of the board. And that Soul Stinger doesn't really change the state of the board much. Had he put it on the Mana Core, I think that would have been the better play, to just have a 4/5. Sounds better. But it's not what he did, lucky for us. Don't think he can really swing here. Man, we're just getting flooded out with lands here. Alright, so we did start with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we've drawn 5. Alright. We're just going to pass it back to him, and hopefully he doesn't keep drawing gas here. He did draw a land last turn, which was a nice reprieve. But we're going to have to draw one of our payoff cards, or we're going to lose. We need the 7/7 probably, or Sandworm Convergence. I guess Glyph Keeper would be pretty good here too. Alright, another land for him. That's good. The Minotaur Sure Shot has turned into his best threat from all this land that he's drawing. Interesting, it seems like he's considering attacking here after he's been passing all this time. Okay, Decision Paralysis. That'll be good if he decides to go for it one turn. And it's also going to let us loot once. Okay, and here's a Drake. Oops. Cancel. We're gonna get one of those mana back. There we go. Let's try that again. Alright, so we actually got perfect amount of mana right now to be able to do everything we want to do. Since we have the Vitalist there to make that one extra mana so we can both stop something from attacking, tap 2 dudes if we need to, and we'll be able to loot. Can't attack and can't block. But that part doesn't really matter, does it? Interestingly enough, I think we're actually going to go ahead and do Decision Paralysis right here so that we can loot. We're going to do it to the Soul Stinger and the Minotaur Sure Shot, who I think are his two most annoying threats to us right now, not the Thresher Lizard, since we can just block it with the Claw Speed pretty simply. And then we can loot with our Seeker. We'll discard this forest here. Crab's not the worst, but here we go with the Sandworm Convergence. This is what we were looking for all along. Alright. So this may elicit a concession in a moment here. We are going to go ahead and swing with the 3/4 this turn. I don't believe there's a whole team falter effect in this format. We could have looted here if we wanted to, but we don't need to. He's just going to concede. And there we go. We were able to go 3-0 with a non-aggressive deck, which is pretty sweet. First time I played with Sand Convergence, and that was a blast.